First of all, when you take history of this patient where you are suspecting endocarditis, you should look for any underlying cardiac disease, Let us now talk about the clinical manifestations of infective endocarditis. First of all, when you take history of this patient where you are suspecting endocarditis, you should look for any underlying cardiac disease, so you will look for any risk factor which can increase the risk of endothelial damage. You know that endothelial damage is the one which is the basis of developing endocarditis. Secondly, you will look for any factor causing bacteremia. It can be a recent dental procedure. It can be something like a recent genitourinary or lower GI procedure. You will look for any history of IV drug abuse in case of adolescents or any chronic IV catheter insertion. They can act as sites of sepsis in the child. And fourthly, you will look for any evidence of immunodeficiency when you take history in these children. So these are the points in history that you will look out for. Before we discuss the actual sign and symptoms and features, you need to understand that there is a complete spectrum of severity when you see infective endocarditis. On one end of the spectrum, you have a very severe acute fulminant disease. On the other hand, you have a very chronic, indolent or slowly progressive disease. So it is always like a spectrum. As I just said, on one end of the spectrum, you will have acute fulminant form. This is also called as acute infective endocarditis. Acute fulminant form is usually seen in patients who develop infective endocarditis due to Staph aureus. Although any organism can cause any type of infection, but usually it is caused by Staph aureus. These are the patients who will have high grade fever, often present with chills and rigors. Due to acute fulminant form, there may be perforation of the valve cusps. These perforation of valve cusps can cause severe CCF and regurgitation, which is acute in onset. They usually have a rapidly progressive course and can be fatal in 4 to 6 months if not aggressively treated. So acute fulminant form is a very severe form. Then you have a subacute or indolent form. Subacute or indolent form is usually shown by viridin streptococci. And these are the patients who have fever along with constitutional symptoms like malaise, anorexia, loss of appetite, joint pains, arthralgias. They can also have immune phenomena and they usually follow an indolent course. And then the third category are the exceptionally indolent forms. These are usually shown by organisms like Haeckake group of organisms, by Brucella, by Chlamydia, Bartonella, and sometimes by fungi as well. And the presentation can be non-specific but progressive in nature. So this spectrum of severity usually follows this broad categorization. Now, if we look at the Parkes Pediatric Cardiology, the 6th edition, it says what are the top 3 features. It says the top 3 features of infective endocarditis in children include number 1, murmurs. Murmurs are present in 100% of these individuals. It can either be a new murmur, as you see in patient of acute infective endocarditis, or it may be a recent change in murmur, which is seen in only 30 to 40% cases, but fairly common in the subacute variety of infective endocarditis. The second feature, which is seen in 80 to 90% children, is fever. Fever may or may not be associated with chills and rigors. And third is splenomegaly, which is present in about 70%. So in top three orders, first, second, and third, these are the three most important signs and symptoms.